Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, and welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to look at seeing the invisible, how to trust in unseen promises, and we're going to look at a very, very famous story, one that I love to talk about and one that I love to just kind of keep diving into, because it gives us so many insights about something that we call faith. And so we're going to look at the story of the father of faith. And who's that? That's going to be Abraham. And so we're going to look at a couple of different places in the Bible. We're going to look at Genesis, we're going to look in Hebrews, and we're going to then look at, like, how does one actually do this? Like, how does one actually trust in unseen promises? And as I was preparing for this podcast today, I was thinking about an unseen promise that I got, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that unseen promise on this episode, because I believe that it's very important to kind of share a portion of that, or share that with you, because at some point it's going to be so visible that everyone will see it. So let's go into Genesis. We're going to go into Genesis really quick, and we're going to read the initial story, the initial account of this seeing the invisible, and how could someone even trust in the unseen. Let's look at this. Let me share my screen with you. Right there in the middle of the screen, it says God calls Abraham, and everyone gets a call. Like, when was the last time you thought about the time when God called you? What did you do? What did you say? Did you respond? Did you go, or did you wait? Here it is. See, there's not a whole lot of context, right? When I was reading in Genesis chapter 11, just to kind of see, well, how did they set this up? The only thing they did to set this up was to introduce Abram, as a character. They just introduced him. And if we were to go back really quick and look at what is being said right at the very end, and it just basically talks about Abraham's father, and it says just what happened. And Terah took Abram, his son, Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarah, his daughter-in-law, his son's Abraham's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur to Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205, and Terah died in Haran. So basically, they're just introducing Abraham as the son of Terah. And so here it is. Abraham's a son. You don't know anything about him. And then the next thing we see is God calls Abraham. I'm gonna stop here, because this is where I want everybody to get practical. There's nothing else. They don't tell us anything else about Abraham. They don't go into what his background was. They don't go into the things that he was doing. They don't go into the mistakes that he's already made. They don't go into the successes that he's already had. They don't go into anything. They don't go into what he owns. They don't go into none of it. They just introduce him as a son, and then comes back and said, God called him. I want you to think about this, right? Because as people read this Bible, we read this Bible and we get confused, because we're reading the Bible and just taking it with, oh yeah, this is good for Abraham, but what about me? Like how is it good for me? Because if you put yourself in there, if someone was telling a story about you, they just decided to introduce you in the story. They don't have to tell anything except what they want to tell. So God is not physically writing this book. God is leading people to write the book, whether you have some people with ill intention, because if you study the origins of the Bible, yes, there may be some people with ill intentions. But see, here's the thing. You cannot outwit God. So, yes, they didn't tell us any details. Could they have? Absolutely, but they didn't. So that's what God knows. He says, man, well, my people are going to think. They're going to come up with some things and they're going to understand this because they're going to see themselves in the story. In verse 1, it says, now the Lord said to Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto the land I will show you. What? All of a sudden, he's with us in his father's land. He's living a life. And then next thing you know, somebody comes and tell him to get out of it. Wait a second. No, somebody didn't come. Let's just get it out there. God did not show up in Abraham's life. No, there was no physical manifestations of God. So it's not saying that it didn't tell you that Abraham had a dream. It could have. It could have said Abraham had a dream and this is what was in the dream. Why is that not in there? Why is it not in there? See, how are you going to trust in unseen promises if you don't know how it works? Like, how are you going to do it? Like, you won't. Because when you read the scripture, you're going to read the scripture. We're going to Hebrews in a minute. And when you read the scripture, when I read the scripture, I'm going to read it as such as in the word. And I'm not going to understand it because I'm not going to know what to do. But in the scripture, it didn't tell you that Abraham had a dream. That's in essence what he had. Now Abraham had a dream, and in his dream, this is what was said. Get thee out of your father's house. How would he even discern that? How would he even discern that? Wait a second. God is calling me. I just had a dream. Like, is the dream even real? See, I had a dream. I had a dream in 2021, 2 dreams. And I've shared this, but I'm gonna keep sharing the dreams because I think they're very important. They're coming to pass as we speak. Like, I'm catching up to where the dream is. And the first dream that I had was it was a dream that, I'm just chilling, and next thing you know, God showed up. Think about it. The stories about Abraham, and they're saying that God showed up in his life. I'm in a dream and God showed up in my dream. God is there. But I didn't see anybody. I just felt it. I felt God calling me, and God was calling me up. Have you been called? Come on, you've been called to. You've had a dream. Something's on your heart. Something's been nagging on you. Something is pulling on you. Something is saying, man, you should probably do this. Something is asking you to leave your country. I know it. It happened to me in this dream. And as I'm in the dream, it was just quiet. And I'm looking up and I'm saying, wait a second, am I in God's presence? I'm in God's presence. God is here. And I just chanted this over and over and over and over in my sleep. And as I chanted that over and over, I was elevated. And I woke up. I was like, wow, that was a dream. That was real. This is what happened in Abraham's story. Abraham knew it was real. He heard God say, I will make thee a great nation. I will bless thee, and I will make thy name great. And thou shalt be a blessing, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old. And when he departed out of Haran, and Abraham took his wife Sarah, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And the souls? What do you mean the soul? Yeah, they had some slaves. The slaves that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Wow. This is a wowzer, right? Because Abraham had a dream. And in that dream, God shared with him his future. God told him what his future was going to look like. And Abraham's just like, wow, can you imagine like waking up and then telling your wife, hey, babe, listen, all the families on the earth will be blessed because of us. She was like, What? How did all the family's going to be blessed because I can't even have no kids? I don't know, but I had a dream that one day it was going to happen. And he convinced Lot to go with him. And he convinced all the souls, all the servants that they had, they all went with them to go where? Nowhere. I think it was like back in 2000. Me and Jenny had recently gotten married, and a couple of friends, we all went on a cruise to nowhere. I remember when they brought it in. It was like, hey, we're going to go on a cruise. We're going to leave from Norfolk. I think it was Norfolk or something like that, Virginia. And we're going to go on this cruise and blah, blah, blah. Where are we going? Nowhere. This is a cruise to nowhere. We're just going to cruise. They're going to cruise us out into the middle of the ocean. We're going to hang out for a couple of days and we're going to cruise on back. The cruise to nowhere. This is the same idea that Abraham gave all of his people, his wife included. We're not going anywhere. We're just going. How do you see the invisible? How do you trust in now, how does he trust in that unseen promise? He had no reason to trust. Based on the story, there's no other stories that's giving him a foundation. Like there's nothing that says, hey, the reason why Abraham could trust in this unseen promise is because he'd already seen it work. He'd already seen it work for dad. He'd already seen it work for grandpa. He already heard the stories, and none of that is spoken about. Because, normally you and me, the reason why we wind up trusting in things and in people is because of a track record. Think about it. When people have a track record and they come and they say, hey, we're going to do blah, blah, blah. And you say, wow, yes, it's just because you're already successful. I don't mind going with you. It's nothing like a person that's already successful. Because if they're already successful, it's almost like it doesn't even matter. I remember I was doing network marketing and I had a little bit of influence just with a couple of people. Maybe two people I called out of probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I called them up. It was like, man, if you're doing it, Jay, let's do it. I think there was two people. I think there was two. See, because there was something about me in that instance that they could say, you know what, I can trust this. Because Jay doesn't do a lot of this. And I don't think Jay was going to steer me wrong. So that person could say, you know what? I can trust you. But there's no context. See, I want us to walk away today. Here's what I want us to walk away with today is that you don't need to have proof. What? Well, you don't need the physical proof, that is. I'm going to share with you how you can have proof, but you don't need the physical proof. That's what we're going to walk away with today. You don't need the physical proof, but you will have proof. That's what you'll have. So Abraham leaves. He's leaving. It's all invisible. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He just knows he's just going to nowhere. Now, we're not going to get into the whole rendition of his story because there's a lot. Go read Genesis. I guess that's chapter 12, 13, 14, maybe. Go read it up. Read it up. We're going to fast forward. Because now we're going to fast forward to where now someone's writing about Abraham. Someone's writing about this faith that he had, how he did it. And what's crazy is the book of Hebrews, the writer is unknown. No one knows who wrote this book. At first, I used to think Paul wrote it, but Paul didn't write it. So no one knows who wrote it. But it's in here. So we're going to go ahead and get into the book of Hebrews, chapter 11. We're going to read verse 1 just because that's our foundation. I love that one. We'll read that one, and then we're going to go down to verse 8 through 11. All right, here we go. Faith. This is what Abraham had. And they're talking about Abraham in this text. But let's get the foundational text. I'm reading from the Good News. Not because it's the best version, but because it was cool. That's all. To have faith is to be sure of the things we hope for, to be certain of the things we cannot see. How do you trust in unseen promises? The definition says to have faith. Think about this. If you are going to say that you have any faith, right, is to be sure of the things you hope for and to be certain about things you cannot see. So you have to be certain about the things you cannot see, even though they're not physically in front of you. So when I think about the second dream that God gave me, gives me a dream, says that, hey, focus on me, I'm gonna elevate you. Then the second dream, this is where everything, oh my goodness, like this is life changing. And I believe this is like it's happened. And I'm just catching up with it. Phone rings. Who is it? I don't know. They're like, hey, is this Jay Moore? This is he. What's going on? All right, I need your banking information. Who is this? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You want my banking information for what? So I can transfer you some money. How much you want? Wait, you want to transfer me money? But you don't know me. Hey, don't worry about whether I know you or not. This is the dream. Don't worry about whether I know you or not. Okay, well, give him this stuff. He says, I'm transferring you some money. 31,536,000. 31,536,000. What? What do you mean? You transferring that kind of money to me? Why? Because I said so. Because I wanted to. See, at the time when I had that dream, I was studying time. And I was studying seconds. And that was the exact amount of seconds in a year when I woke up from my dream. And I was like, oh my goodness, God's sending me. God's going to send me an abundant amount of money. That's not everything. That's just one transfer. Just one. How many more transfers can? So you telling me I can get that? But you can get more. See, when we focus in on this abundant faith, like faith that Abraham had, there's no limit to what you get. There was no limit to what Abraham was going to get. Abraham was promised something. And he was able to see the promise before he died. He saw it. Now, here's the thing. All the families of the earth will be blessed because of him. Now, that he couldn't see. That he couldn't see. See, there's a part of the dream that you can't see. World's most successful accounting organization help people to account for life in their business. I don't know that I'll be around for the full manifestation of that. World's most successful accounting organization helping people to account for their life and their business. And when I thought about what that meant, it's just following the kingdom way. That's all it is. Account is to be accountable, right? Is to check the record. Like when you think about what an account is a record of something. So you have to account for your life. You have to account for your life before you can account for anything else. If you don't account for your life, anything else you got it won't even matter. Like, think about it. I mean, now, Steve Jobs, he wanted to have cancer. There was nothing he could have done. Even if he could focus on account for your life, it was nothing he could have done about it. He had the money, but he could not buy his way out of the cancer. So sometimes there's nothing you can do. But then there's times when there's something you can do. So that's why this podcast is here. Account for your life. Account for everything that there is about your life. I'm gonna speed up. I got to get to where I want to go. And it was faith in verse 8 that made Abraham obey. Now, remember when we read in Genesis, his name was Abram, but now he's Abraham, father of many. It was faith that made Abraham obey when God called him to go out to a country which God had promised to give him. He obeyed just because. He left his own country without knowing where he was going. Talked about that. By faith, he lived as a foreigner in a country that God had promised him. So he was living someplace that was his, but he had to be there as a foreigner until it was his. Wow. He lived in tents, as did Jacob and Isaac, who received the same promise from God. For Abraham was waiting for the city which God had designed and built the city, for Abraham was waiting for the city which God had designed and built, the city with permanent foundations. It was faith that made Abraham able to become a father, even though he was too old, and Sarah herself could not have children. You know, faith is deep, right? Because when we're talking about seeing something that's invisible physically, trusting in things that you can't see, how does one do that? Well, let's think about what Abraham did. He had a dream, he had a vision, and he woke up. And when he woke up from his dream, he says, wow, I want that. I think that's real. See, we don't get the context, so we can insert whatever we want. I think he thought, I believe this is real, and I'm going for it. And I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm going to share it with the people I love, and I'm going to bring them with me because they too should be a part of this. This is what Abraham did. This is my understanding. And so he just decided he was going to go for it. He decided that the dream was worth the discovery. And so let's think, if we are going to be able to trust in unseen promises, if we're going to be able to do that, how do we do it? Well, you just make a decision that, you know what, I believe that life is better than the life that I have. That's what Abraham did. The life that he was living, even though it might have been good, the life that he was proposed was way better. So he made a decision that was worth going for it. And that's what he did. He went for it. What else did he do? He told his family. He shared it. He said, you know what? I got to tell you about this. And I want you to come with me. So he made it a community event. He said, we're going to take the community. The community can come with us. Like me. And he said, he got his wife. He's got his nephew. And then he got the people. He's got some people that he brought with him because he shared the dream. He shared the vision with everybody. He says, man, all of us are going to be blessed. Think about what it said in Genesis. Everybody, like, people will be blessed because of Abraham. But what's in your dream? What's in your vision? Who's going to be blessed? Is it just you? No. Even though I shared with you 2 dreams. And the one about the money, even though the money comes in, that money is not just for me. That money is to circulate. That money is to go into investments. That money is to go into people. That money is to be used to expand the work of Account for Your Life. What is that work? That is the work of the kingdom. That's all it is. It's a kingdom assignment. So when you get a kingdom assignment, at first, you've never done it and you've never seen it before. And it's just for you. Abraham got a job just for him. Nobody else could do it. It was just him. He was a one of one, just like you're a one of one. So never compare yourself. You don't have to worry about comparing yourself. I don't have to worry about comparing. No one can be me. No one can do this the way I do it. No one. That's why I do it. So if you're going to see the invisible, you got to make a decision. Share it. Make sure you share the dream, share the vision with the ones you really love, right? See, everybody may not listen, but share it with those that you know and ask them to come with you. Come with me, just like Abraham did. And then, last thing, you got to go for it. 2024 is just a couple of days away, literally. And with it being a couple of days away, I want you to think about something. What are you going to go for in 2024? If you knew what would happen, what would you go for? What would you say, you know what? It's worth giving up one thing, like Abraham gave up the life that he had. What's worth giving up the life that you have already lived for the new life ahead? Answer that question today so that you can account for your life in a way that you've never accounted for your life. So, guys, I appreciate you for joining me for this episode of the Account for Life podcast. I'm Jay Moore, the healthy accountant, helping you to account for your life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.